You ever scroll through the news and wonder, how do they make sense of all this chaos? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how the sausage gets made. I mean, think about it. How do you tell the story of a whole nation in just one single, chaotic day? It seems impossible, right? Taking all these random, disconnected events and somehow making them mean something. But turns out, there's a blueprint for it. A really powerful 5-step playbook that turns raw data into a story you just can't look away from.
So let's get into it. We're actually going to deconstruct a script from Stephen FMAI, Ireland's Daily Digest. We'll see how they took 5 headlines from February 1st, 2026, headlines that look like they have nothing to do with each other, and spun them into this one powerful narrative. So first things first, let's look at the raw ingredients.
Okay, put yourself in the producer's chair for a second. It's the start of the day, the coffee is brewing, and these are the 5 big stories that just landed on your desk. These are the puzzle pieces you've got to work with. So you've got a massive storm causing chaos, a debate about banning kids from social media, a huge TV star quitting her job, a famous gangster meeting the actor who's playing him in a play, and then, bam, a paramilitary death threat. I mean, talk about random, right? On the surface, these things have absolutely zero in common. So the big question is, how on earth do you connect all of that? Well, here's the secret. You don't. The art isn't in connecting them, it's in arranging them. Let's take a look at the blueprint they used, because it's all about creating a journey for the viewer for maximum emotional punch.
Yeah, this is way more than just, what's the biggest headline? Let's lead with that. No. This is a deliberate strategy. It's called a narrative arc, and it's specifically designed to guide you, the viewer, on a very specific emotional trip from the first story to the last.
So check this out. The whole thing is broken down into a 5-act play, basically. It kicks off with a big physical crisis that affects absolutely everyone, the weather. But then it slowly, steadily zooms in, getting more and more personal, until it ends with a very real life-or-death threat.
And this quote from the actual script just nails it. It really gets to the heart of the theme that holds all these pieces together. See, the point isn't just to list off the headlines. The goal is to tell a much bigger story. The story of a nation that's feeling the pressure from, well, everywhere.
All right, so let's walk through this thing step by step. We're going to look at each story, but what's really cool is we're going to look at the transitions, the clever little bridges they build to link these totally different events into one single flowing story.
Okay, Act 1, the physical crisis. We start with a literal storm that's just hammered the country. Why? Because it's universal. It's something everyone can feel and understand. It's tangible, it's immediate, and it's the perfect way to ground the audience right from the start.
Okay, now watch this move. It's so clever. The script uses the word storm like a bridge. It takes us from the literal storm outside to a completely different kind of storm. It's such a slick way to keep the theme going.
And boom, just like that, we've jumped from a natural disaster to a man-made one. The focus is now on this huge generational crisis, right? This fight for the well-being of the nation's kids. The scale feels just as massive, but the threat is totally different. It's digital, and it's incredibly personal.
So the next pivot takes us from a big government policy decision straight into a crisis of faith in a major public institution. It's a really smart way to connect 2 different kinds of public trust, our trust in the government and our trust in the media.
And there you have it. The story now zooms in on an institutional crisis. So we've gone from weather to social media policy, and now we're talking about the very soul and future of the national broadcaster. You can feel the story getting more specific, right? The focus is tightening.
And this is where things get, well, a little weird, in a great way. The next transition pivots on the word stage. It connects the public stage of broadcasting to the literal stage of a theater. And with that one word, it links the media world to the criminal underworld. So cool.
This part of the blueprint is what they call the cultural curiosity, and it really is. It's this bizarre, you can't make this up moment where crime, history, and pop culture all just smash into each other. It's a fascinating look at how these real-life crime figures get turned into myths, into entertainment.
All right, now for the final transition, and this one is the most dramatic by far. It just rips us out of that fictional world of a play and throws us headfirst into a very, very real threat. It connects that Dublin crime story to the long, violent shadow of the Troubles in Northern Ireland. And that brings us to the final act, the Haddock Bounty. A loyalist paramilitary group, the UVF, has put a £20,000 bounty on an informant's head. And that's where the story leaves us,
right on a knife's edge, just pure tension and real mortal danger.
So, when you step back and look at what they've done, what's the end result? It's amazing. They took 5 totally random pieces of information and completely transformed them. It's not just a news report anymore, it's a story.
And you can see that transformation right here. On one side, you've just got 5 random headlines. But on the other, you've got a single, powerful story about a nation dealing with all these interconnected crises, taking you on a journey from something as basic as the weather to something truly existential.
You know, this is the secret sauce. This narrative arc. It's the engine driving the entire thing. And the key is, it's not about changing the facts at all. It's about how you arrange them to create a feeling, to create an experience that an audience doesn't just hear, but actually remembers.
So why did we just spend all this time picking apart a news script? What's the big deal? What's the main takeaway from looking at this producer's playbook?
Well, it's because understanding this stuff empowers you. Once you see the framework, you can never unsee it. It's the difference between just passively taking in the news and becoming an active, critical thinker. You start to see not just what they're reporting, but how they're framing it to tell a very specific story. So the next time you're watching the news or reading a report, ask yourself, what's the story they're really telling me here? Because recognizing that narrative, well, that's the first step to getting the whole picture. Thanks for tuning into this explainer.